Hey everybody, it is Eric Honda. Welcome back to another episode of Storied Sorties. As you can see, the plane is almost complete. We're getting close to the painting stage. One thing I did realize that I missed is on these wingtips, I forgot to do the lights, which that's kind of a good thing because I wanted to see if I can paint either the clear plastic or the insides here different colors so that it kind of makes them pop out a little bit instead of just being clear plastic on the wingtips. But we'll see how that goes. I was doing prep work before I was getting this video ready, and I'm a little nervous about today's video because we're dealing with a lot of pieces like these, and I'm not sure how that's gonna go. I've already broken this piece. I tried gluing it back together, so we'll see how well that works. And as most of you who have been tuning into the series already know, I usually tell a story about my military career or the aircraft itself. What I didn't realize from last week's episode is I'm actually at the very final paragraph of the Popular Mechanics story. So I had to quickly, it's going to be a very quick read on that. And then I had to quickly look up another article about the C-130, and this one I'm pretty interested in. I haven't read any of it at all, so I'm not sure what it is about. It's called The Four Horsemen Demonstrated the Power of the C-130 Hercules, but we'll do that after we finish the Popular Mechanics article. But before we get into that, since I have so many tiny pieces, I'm going to go ahead and prime these pieces so that hopefully they can dry before I get ready to install them, and then I can paint them. Then we'll go ahead and install them on the aircraft after they've been painted. I'm not sure how this is going to go because I've never painted a model kit before other than that in there, and I honestly made a sloppy job. In fact, I think before I get to the tiny pieces, because I'm going to have to move this out of the way and paint a little bit more into the cockpit. And let me get my paint stripper ready. Set that over here, the cap here, the right color I need. I have to be careful. I've been realizing in my last video I kept pulling away from the mic too much and the mic wasn't picking me up at all. So we're gonna go ahead and touch up inside the cockpit a little bit more. Not that it super matters, already butchered the job, but I'd rather try to make it not look horrible than have it just look horrible. Hold on a second. Get my paper towels. I have an old t-shirt of mine that I really don't care if I get stuff on it underneath the model kit, but if I don't have to, I'd rather not get anything on it. I'm just gonna touch this up a little bit. It may be sloppy and uneven. Well, I guess I could spread it out. Didn't use any primer when I did this initially. I just kind of threw some paint on there, so that's my fault. That should be good enough for now. Maybe, I mean, I guess I could paint in here a little more. But I hope you guys have been enjoying these videos. I've had a lot of fun doing it, which is actually the main reason why I'm still doing them. Because I enjoy model kit building. It's relaxing, and it gives me like gratification of what I've been able to accomplish. Looks, this is A for effort. I should have painted this before putting it together. Hope nobody gets close enough to the kit to notice my butchered job on the painting inside here. It is what it is though. Maybe I can find some spray paint. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set the model off to the side, and then we'll go ahead and start priming the smaller pieces. Put the cap back on this paint. Don't want it to dry out while we're working on this thing. The only thing of paint I have, and I don't know if I bought it from Hobby Lobby. Yeah, that's the name of the place. I don't know if they're letting people in to get more. I mean, I guess I can always go to Amazon and order it if I'm desperate. But we'll see. I might order some more on Amazon actually, because before I have to do the next video for the next week. This one's for the Monday that's, or well, obviously the Monday that you're watching it on, because that's when it's posted. Okay, got that tip cleaned off. Put this down. Now I got a piece of cardboard that I'm gonna put these smaller pieces on real quick and just spray to prime. And then as they dry, I'll do some reading, and then after they dry, hopefully enough, I will go ahead and paint them their respective colors. So give me 1 second while I lean over to get the cardboard. If I try to talk while I'm doing that, my mic will cut out. So give me a second. My makeshift paint booth, everybody. Actually, let's go ahead and rip that off. There we go. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and lay these pieces down. But not too close to the edge, because I want to just spray. Actually, I'm gonna have to spray. Well, I don't really need to prime both sides, but I'm going to, because I want to make sure I don't see anything poking through after they've been installed on the aircraft. So we're gonna go ahead. I can shave that part off. And do the outside parts first, as important. These wheels will not be able to spin. Disappointing, but it is a cheaper model kit. I didn't really spend a whole lot of money on this, so I guess I get what I pay for. I do enjoy it though. I think it was a good entry-level kit. Kind of break me into model kit building a little easier. Oh, the glue did not work. Yeah, and it's broken. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about that. I mean, there's not really a whole lot I can do. Maybe I'll figure something out later. A little disappointing. I don't know. Let's try gluing it again. Maybe. Lucky. I know. Look at my pale, pasty hands. I mean, you may not be able to see it. But you know what I realized? I got my stupid my webcam filters on. That's probably why it looks so pasty. That tiny. Okay. And that's the best I'm going to be able to do for now. Not a whole lot I can do about it from there. Alright, get the rest of the pieces on here. These are the struts for the landing gear. For the rear landing gear. This is the strut for the main landing gear. Also a piece for the main landing gear. Also a piece for the main landing gear. I don't know how well you guys can see these pieces and how incredibly tiny they are, which is why I'm super nervous. Like that one, like I said, this one's already busted. I'm probably gonna end up breaking that one before this is over, but I gotta learn somehow. Worst case, I'll just put this kit together with the wheels shut closed, and then I never look at them again. That's if you can close them. They look like they're meant to stay open, so maybe not. I'm sure if I got creative, I can close it. I'm missing pieces. Where are they? Oh, I'm not. Taking the picture. Alright, I'm probably gonna get some on the shirt, but again, I'm not super worried about it. Mike is on the left hand, and I'm left-handed. Yeah, we're just gonna try not to. Oh, okay. This is not gonna go well. Okay, let's move these very tiny pieces over here. Not sure how I'm gonna prime them now. This is probably very foolish of me to do it this way. I might... Oh, I think I got an idea. Let me go ahead and grab my tweezers. I think this is going to be the best way for me to do this. Phew, this stuff stinks. Trying to do it lightly so I'm not blowing pieces everywhere. Like that. I bet a lot of you cringing on how I'm doing this, and I apologize. Ooh, this stuff stinks. Okay. Looks like it dries fairly quick. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and let that dry. Ooh, this is not the best setup for doing this. Sorry, drying on my tweezers. All right, so we're gonna let this dry, and I'm gonna read on the finish the popular mechanics article, and then we're gonna go on to the other article, which I can't remember where I got it from, but I'll tell you once I switch over there. But the ending of the popular mechanics article, and I'll link it in the description. I think I did in the first video, but I'll link it again just to be safe. It says the J model Hercules is taking on nearly all the roles of his predecessors. The LM100J version will make its first flight in a few weeks. When was this posted? When was this? I'm going to assume that it's already made its first flight. Probably a year or two old. 2017, so it's already made its first flight. Good grief, that stuff stinks. Probably going to give myself a headache. Yep, so it's already made its first flight. Offering civilian operators the ability to haul heavy equipment and even goats to remote airports in places like Central Africa. That's because of the amazing landing and takeoff capabilities of the C-130 and its hauling ability. The new AC-130J gunship will not only carry 105 howitzer, it will have the first significant airborne lasers. But just in case you're still not convinced of the C-130's badass nature, just ask Tim Nguyen. I'm probably butchering it. That's a guy from the beginning. I don't know if you guys remember a couple episodes back. He was part of the Vietnamese Air Force, and he was evacuated by the C-130 when it had to evacuate a landing strip that was under our airfield that was under attack. And it says about the hulking, do everything aircraft that saved his life. And this is what he had to say. This is a magnificent machine. The sound of the engines, the look of the airplane, it will be in my mind forever. And I don't blame him. It's always been in my mind. I haven't had a intimate experience with it like he has, but this aircraft will always cement itself in my mind as one of the greats. That I'm super excited about. And it looks like these are fairly dry. Oh, nope. Yep, I just made it get tacky right there. That's what I get for trying to touch it. We'll go ahead and keep reading. There's gonna be a little texture spot on that fuel cell. This one is by historynet.com, and it says the Four Horsemen demonstrated the power of the C-130 Hercules, and it's got a picture of the original Four Horsemen, and it's Gene Chaney, James Atkin, David Moore, and Bill Hatfield, and they said they have a conversation amongst themselves in front of a C-130. Even back then they looked sexy, in my opinion. It says, in the spring of 1964, as a newly arrived aircraft maintenance technician at Pope Air Force Base, North Carolina, I was shown the film The Four Horsemen's Story while attending a Lockheed C-130E familiarization course. Essentially a Lockheed sales tool designed to demonstrate to prospective customers just how maneuverable the Hercules really was. The film made a lasting impression on me, mostly because of it focused on a group of real C-130 pilots who had organized what was perhaps the most unusual aerial demonstration team in history of the U.S. Air Force. The C-130A Hercules entered service with the Air Force's 463rd Troop Carrier Wing, a tactical air command or TAC unit, in December of 1956. Within a few months, the former Fairchild C-119 pilots of the Wing's 774th Troop Carrier Squadron, the first such unit to be equipped with the Hercules, had become quite proficient with their new aircraft. Most of the aircraft commanders were veteran pilots, many of which careers dated back to the Korean War when they had flown a Douglas C-47s, another good-looking aircraft if you ask me, and the Curtiss C-46 and C-119s in combat. All were impressed with the tremendous maneuverability of the new plane. The result, the hydraulic boosted flight controls that gave the 125,200-pound transport the handling characteristics of a fighter. Powered by 4 Allison T-56 turboprop engines, the C-130A was also blessed with a tremendous performance. It was only natural that many of its pilots would experiment to see just how good the plane really was and how good they were at flying it. So they give you a little insight that even if pilots were getting super excited about this aircraft and its capabilities. Let's try to flip this over without really damaging the paint job. The issue I'm having is the cardboard is very tacky underneath these parts. Oh, looks like, how's this piece looking? A little more. Now we'll go ahead and flip it over. In fact, probably need to do that with most of these pieces. Take a look at this. Yeah. Go ahead and hit these pieces again, and then we'll continue on reading. Oh, don't touch each other. No touchy. We got the social distancing of 6 feet going on, people. We can't be doing that. This should be the last coat of primer. I'm not going to worry about those tiny pieces. They're pretty coated, and I don't feel like blowing them across the room and then not being able to find it. And not only did I break the piece, I'll end up losing the piece. Oh crap, that was unfortunate. Towel stuck to that. There we go. Gonna look tacky, yay me. We'll go ahead and continue on reading, and hopefully these will dry out pretty quick, because I did not think this all the way through, and I cannot assemble this aircraft into these parts have dried. So we can do while I wait. Nope, because the rest need to probably be painted before they're installed on the model. All right. In early 1957, 4 air crews from the 774th Troop Carrier Squadron at the Green Weasel, or Carrier Squadron, the Green Weasels, were at Fort Campbell, Kentucky for a week of dropping troops of the 101st Airborne Division. One day high winds led to a cancellation of the day's drops and mission stand down for the crews. With the time to kill and their aircraft ready to go, the 4 pilots, Captains Gene Cheney, Jim Akin, David Moore, and Bill Hatfield, decided to practice some formation flying. They took off and headed out over the fields of Kentucky and Tennessee, where they started moving closer and closer together in their formation. Next, they returned to the airfield at Campbell and made several low altitude passes down the runway. Still in tight formation, suddenly an idea was born. Why not practice until they got really apt with the planes, and then go around the military bases and put on performances for the troops? So the maneuverability of the C-130 was so incredible to these pilots that they were basically able to do things. Now, you might be thinking tight formation flying isn't that impressive. It's just a bunch of aircraft usually flying in a straight line up and down a landing strip. But if you really think about it, a plane that big does not have the maneuverable capabilities or handling of a fighter, or at least it shouldn't. So doing such maneuvers at close quarters or close distances is incredibly dangerous for these aircraft, because they can easily run into each other and take each other out. But they were, not only did they do it, they did it in high winds and low altitude. So to be able to see such maneuvers by these big aircraft, I think they were one of the biggest cargo planes in the military at the time, because the C-47s weren't that big. And I don't know, I have to look up the C-119s and C-46s because I don't remember. But anyway, to be able to do that in these C-130s is just overall impressive. So they were going to go around and show off these capabilities of the C-130s to the rest of the Air Force and the military, because, I mean, everybody's going to be dumbfounded. Most of these people were veterans, and a lot of them were combat veterans at this point. So they've been able to see aircraft of similar sizes, actually even smaller than the C-17s, do what they can do in combat, but to see that these newer aircraft can put those things under the table as far as flying is concerned, which is like impress these people and blow their minds. And so they wanted to keep okay, good, tires were touching. All right, so we're gonna flip these tires over. They wanted to keep performing. Probably shouldn't keep touching it like that, because yep, it's tacky. Keep performing to show what this aircraft was very capable to do. Now I'm going to go ahead and point out while I'm doing this, a lot of you veteran model kit builders are probably like, hey, you're not letting this dry fast enough or dry long enough, so you're going to have a lot of tacky spots on these parts and it's going to look horrible. You're right, because I am impatient and I didn't think this through. And a smart person be like, hey, just pause the video and resume after everything's dry and then go from there, which I might do as this goes on. Oh, please don't break on me. This is another reason why I need to be patient, because I probably will break these pieces because I'm just moving. Look at that one. It's already on the I mean, these pieces probably don't need to really be hit by anything because they will be inside the aircraft, but I might as well hit everything at once. That way I don't have to worry about any parts being exposed and ruining the look of the aircraft after it's been assembled and painted. So, like I said, this is just a primer. Oh, crap. No. So much pressure coming from this thing. Guess I'll go ahead and take... Oh, that wasn't smart. Sure, why not? Kids, learn patience. Don't be like me. I'm bound to make a huge mistake because of my impatience. But definitely be patient, especially when you want a good result. Not only am I giving these parts a layer of primer, giving my tripod from my webcam a layer as well. Now, there's people that are veteran builders that have like elaborate kit paint setups. I don't, because I'm one, not a veteran builder, and two, haven't had the time to really set anything up. You know what actually might have been better? To prime these pieces while they're still on their panels. I'm back. Allergies inhaling this stuff. Not a good combo. Get off me. Thank you. You can stop touching, because then the paint's gonna make you two get stuck together. Okay. I mean, I think that's gonna be good enough for those smaller pieces. I'm gonna set this over here, let this dry a bit, and then we'll get to painting. In fact, actually, I'm gonna take some of my own advice. I'm going ahead and pause the recording for now. My camera really off? No, my phone's just retarded. And go ahead and pause these recordings, and then we'll pick up where I left off. So, see you guys in a few seconds. All right, guys, I am back. The primer has dried, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do, since I did a lot of talking already, is get right into gluing these pieces together. So the first thing we're gonna work on is the fuel pods, or the ferry tanks. We're gonna go ahead and start gluing these together and make sure they fit just right. I also I put it on my Twitter and Instagram, but I also took the time to prime the aircraft itself, because I realized I probably should have done that a long time ago. And it's going to be difficult to prime something as big as that with a spray can on this desk. So I figured I'll go ahead and prime it now outside on my deck in the nice warm sun, so it dries properly and I'm not getting paint primer all over. Very sad. Better job at gluing this. So we're gonna go ahead get into gluing so that way when I did a little touch-up priming on the fuselage and wings. Crap, actually. So once that dries, I can start putting these on the aircraft, and we'll like we're gonna paint the smaller things like the small tiny pieces in the wheels and tires. Now the calls for an aluminum paint for the have that, so I'm just gonna use like gray paint. Or aluminum, so color. But I'm going to hold these together pretty tight, make sure they don't fall apart or like crack in between each other. I want to make it as seamless as possible. So we're going ahead and continue with History Net, his article on the Four Horsemen of the C-130s. And it says, at the end of the week, the foursome went back to their home base at Ardmore, Oklahoma, and began working a routine. Some 500 miles to the east, the men of the 314th Troop Carrier Wing at Stewart Air Force Base in Tennessee were anxiously awaiting the arrival of their own brand new C-130s, all set up to become the second Air Force unit to equip with new transports. The four 774th pilots proposed a plan to the TAC brass let the four pilots and crews who had been practicing formation flying take four C-130s and fly to Stewart to show the men of the 314th just what kind of airplane they were getting. TAC headquarters approved the plan, and the new aerial demonstration team was off and running. At first, they referred to themselves as the Thunder Wheels, a combination of Thunder Weasels of Animal of the 774 Squadron's patch and the famous Thunderbirds aerial demonstration team, but they eventually settled on the Four Horsemen after Coach Newt Rockne's legendary backfield on Notre Dame 1924 football team. They put on a show for the Stewart people, who were suitably impressed. As the men grew more and more proficient with their maneuvers, they became enthusiastic about becoming an official recognized aerial demonstration team. The four pilots began researching Air Force technical orders, safety standards, and procedures to find out how to obtain official recognition. At length, their efforts paid off, with TAC officially sanctioning their status as an aerial demonstration team. So, oh crap. Go ahead, my hand's cramping. It's all finished up by the looks of it. Hopefully it went together. We're going to try to do a better job at gluing the other ferry tanks together. More glue on here. And then my last attempt at this. I'm trying really hard to stay in the camera too, so you guys can see. Oh crap. Getting glue on. Probably gonna strip the primer off too. These Hopefully you guys can't hear. My dogs are walking around outside the room. They want to be in here with me. So their claws are clicking on my laminated hardwood floors. Ups. Piece together. And we're going to go ahead and continue reading about how we go. This is all a learning process, brand new to this, so okay. And continue on with the article now. While the C-130 might look ungainly to the uninitiated, it was really a highly maneuverable airplane, particularly for transport. For our transport, the C-130A, for example, is capable of using 27-foot landing strips, remarkably short for an airplane that size. When the Horsemen demonstrated the C-130 short field takeoff performance, they did so in a close diamond formation led by Moore and sometimes by Cheney, who served as the team captain. The four planes would taxi to the runway, form a diamond formation. Excuse me. The maneuver called for the four transports to begin rolling at 2-second intervals through Aviation Week magazine pilot editor Robert Stanfield, who flew with them in 1959 and said that it seemed like they all started rolling at once. On that occasion, the reporter was flying in a slot airplane, the best vantage point for which to observe the Horsemen in action. Thanks to the prop wash from the three preceding airplanes, the slot airplane usually flew behind Bill Hatfield, would get off the ground first. Hatfield would hold his airspeed down to 100 knots until the other planes were airborne. A Horseman would retract gear and flaps on a signal from the lead plane and begin a sharp climb at 120 knots, achieving better than a 4,000 foot per minute rate of climb that would put them over the end of a 10,000 foot runway at 1,500 feet. Normal troop carrier procedures called for 15-second takeoff intervals in between planes, and they were like, hold my beer, we're doing 4 seconds. That's impressive. Used to 15-second intervals, and now they're doing 4 seconds. Now we got those ferry tanks glued up. We're going to go ahead and pull out our black paint. This is going to be interesting. What brush should I use for this? Not that one. That one's too big. Fine enough. I do have another set of brushes that might have a more fine tip. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and use these. Finally get to break these bad boys open. It's this one. Brand new to painting with model kits, so this is probably a bad brush to use. I'm going to try not to paint the entire wheel in black and just do the actual rubber part, but we'll see. The lid off this paint. I'm already accepting the fact that these tweezers colors by the time I'm done. So I thought it would. I didn't just put too much on. Put this right here. One. Yeah, I think I used too much paint in the last one. Much. From this distance, it looks like it's going better. That way, we'll let these people. That is the back side of the tire. Not that it matters because they're both got to be black. Really nervous on how I'm going to paint the wheel. It's alright, I already got black on the wheel on the other ones. Lighter gray. Very careful with that. That to the side. I'm probably gonna have to do another jump cut and let these dry. I'm gonna have to anyway because I had to go get the aircraft to put the air tanks on. It is so warm in my room right now. That for now. Did have black spray paint. That might have been better. Oh well. Lessons learned. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set those down. Get as much paint off this. Drop this in here for now. Lid back on. Figure out how I'm going to paint these. Same gray that I'm going to be painting the fuselage in. I really hope that that mic isn't cutting out a lot. It probably is. It makes me a little nervous about that. I've been kind of a little far from the mic. This all mixed up real nice. Set that down here. Off again. Alright, set that over here. And off the brush. Start painting some of these smaller pieces. Probably, I don't know how much assembling I'm going to be able to do in this video since the painting is taking up a lot of time. Might do some creative editing to speed it up and maybe get some assembly done. If not, the assembly will be in the next video. I have no clue how I'm going to paint this. I want it moving around when I paint it. Nose itches. That's unfortunate. Oh no, I was about to paint the other side. The wrong one. Set that right. Oh no! Did I grab the wrong paint? No, it says flat dark gold gray. I'll go ahead and get my next victim. These are definitely only doing one coat on. There's no real reason to do multiple coats on these things. Here, sorry about the dogs barking in the background. Barking at everybody and everything that comes on through for some reason. Mainly the puppy. He doesn't much to get him going. And when he gets wound up, the bigger dog, Maverick, starts barking too. I guess he's got something to prove to the young pup. Now, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do weathering on this or do it like a fresh off the assembly line kind of look. I'm not sure yet. Let me clean the tip. Stuck on these pieces. And after I'm done painting all these tiny pieces, we'll go ahead and read a little bit more about the Four Horsemen. Prime job was horrible in this piece. And I think because I'm using such a light primer, paint's gonna be lighter. These should dry fairly quickly. You guys still see that? I got that so far away. What I'm doing right now. There we go. Okay. Not sure how I'm gonna hold on to this. Won't be able to do the edges, I guess. I'm using dark gall gray. It's not really the official color of the C-130, or at least not what the model kit is calling for, but it's what I got, and it's a pretty dark gray. Go ahead and go with it. It dries pretty dark anyway. At least it did the last time I used it. This piece, which is hardly primed, but should be fine. Try not to get this to dry to the cardboard at all. This is a great way to teach you patience if you don't have any, and I surely do not. Not in the least bit. And that's kind of a problem. Oh no, please don't. Probably should have watched some videos on painting model kits. Would have learned some things that would have been super helpful for this. There. Oh, and that's exactly what I thought was gonna happen. Landing struts are next. Oh! That one apparently doesn't want to be painted. Primer on this either. Primer is literally making this thing fly across the table. We should have done it further away with more controlled bursts, and it wouldn't have been as bad. Got 3 more struts to go. 5 pieces in total. A little bit more reading. Four Horsemen. I'm probably, knowing me and how bad I'm doing at this, I'll probably end up not worrying about the tires being shown. Just close them up inside the landing gear bays. Nobody will ever see it. Nobody will know mistakes I made. Okay. One more landing strut to go. 4 pieces in total. I hope everybody's doing well. I know there is a lot. Oh my word. Across the room. A lot going on in the world right now, and it's got a lot of people stressed out, bored, or irritated on your current situation. So I really hope this video finds you all well and find your own ways to cope. Mine's been doing work around the house. I mean, I still have to go to work during the week. So when I'm not at work, I'm doing work around the house, doing video editing, Photoshop work, model kit building, as you can see right now. My job had to do a modified schedule for work because of everything that's happening. But I'm still required to be at work. and I will do so as long as I'm needed to. Oh crap, so is my wife. She is a... Oh, this is not going well at all. Okay, she's a registered nurse, so she's definitely not getting time off. If anything, she'll start seeing increased hours, if you ask me. That is both a good and bad thing. We recently got married, so we didn't do anything super fancy for the ceremony. Still got bills to pay, so the extra money will be nice, but I'm not that worried about the money because I know it will come. I'm more worried about the health and well-being of my wife being overworked and tired. She's like super excited about doing extra hours and stuff. I wish I could share her enthusiasm. I've already seen her get burned out working regular hours. I can only imagine what she's going to be like working extra hours because of everything going on in the world. So I keep her in my thoughts and prayers every day, even though I see her every day, so I know how she's actually doing. But I'm allowed to be concerned and worried about her. That clean off. Let's set that down. All right, so we're gonna read a little bit more, and then we're gonna go ahead and read. No, that landed right paint side up on my chair. All right, paint that back up, close that back up, set that down, and we'll go ahead and continue reading. Once the air, and this is again about the Four Horsemen on HistoryNet. Once in the air, the Four Horsemen would perform a series of intricate maneuvers at altitudes ranging from above the runway to 3,000 feet. They flew their diamond really tight. According to Aviation Week's Stanfield, the slot plane's nose was held as close as 7 feet from the leader's tail. That's incredible. Because of the downwash from the propellers, each of the falling aircraft flew slightly higher than the other in front. Each pilot would try to fly right on top of the bubble. The slot airplane would be the highest in the formation. Its windshield level with the top 1/3 of the lead airplane's tail fin. The nose of the two wingmen were in line with a row of rivets that ran the length of the lead airplane's wings. Dropping down into the wash of the leading airplanes could be dangerous. In one instance, the pilot Hatfield was flying an airplane that had a bulldog, which in the back standard on a TAC C-130s at the time had a bulldog winch in the back standard which was standard on the TAC C-130s at the time. The tie downs that secured the winch were evidently loose, and when Hatfield accidentally dropped into the prop wash of the airplanes ahead of him, resulting turbulence caused the winch to rise above the floor of the airplane. As the turbulence went from negative to positive G forces, the winch came back down with such momentum that it knocked a hole in the cargo compartment floor. Oops. The team alternated between different formations. The arrow was in line astern formation, in which each airplane was tucked and right behind slightly above the one before it. From the arrow, they would go to the arrowhead. As the two trailing airplanes moved to the sides of the line and took formation in the line in which each other tucked into the number 2 airplane. They also flew echelon formations and ended their show with a bomb burst. The lead and number 3 aircraft would break high and to the left, while number 2 and 4 broke to the right. When they rejoined in the diamond and returned to the airfield for a formation landing, moving into an echelon over the runway and then doing a tactical pitch out to come back around for landing. The first plane would still be on the runway when the slot man touched down. Their show was as impressive as any put on by fighter pilots, and perhaps even more so considering the size and weight of the airplane. The C-130, like I said in previous articles, is an insanely large aircraft to be pulling maneuvers like that. The C-17 and C-5 can pull like, ouch, that thing just stabbed me. Scaled down versions of those maneuvers, but nothing as impressive as the C-130s. That's why I love this plane. It's a beautiful looking aircraft that can accomplish a lot if you really get the right pilots behind the controls. And I will always be impressed with this thing. I mean, you guys already saw all the capabilities that the C-130 has, the different missions and jobs it has around the world, both in military and civilian and government agencies. So to see it in performance like that must have been a sight to behold if you're not used to, especially if you're used to like the old World War II cargo planes that would have struggled beyond no end performing such maneuvers. All right, I'm going to take a look at the tire. I'm just seeing. Go ahead and do the underside. The first coat dries, that way we can keep track of our coats and not get too carried. And then after this, we'll do the side. Again, I'm sorry I've been like super quiet for this. Probably turn up the game volume. Footage that's playing as I paint. You guys can not hear the awkward silence as I focus. Take a lot more concentration to get the inner part of these wheels. Or get the wheels of these tires. If I did, I just lost them because I don't know where they are. I think I left them on their respective plastic sheets or whatever. And after I'm done painting all these small parts, in fact, the smaller ones I'm just going to do one coat on. Touch-ups as needed, I guess. But once I'm done painting all these parts and getting ones that need to be glued together, I'll go get the fuselage so we can attach the ferry tank. So that might be saved for another video. So actually what I'm going ahead to do is, I think we got about an hour long of worth of footage. We're going to go ahead and end this video here. I'm going to finish painting up these parts off camera. I'll take pictures when they're complete. That way, when we come back for the next episode, we'll go ahead and assemble. So if you guys are enjoying this series, please let me know in the comments below or on my Twitter or Instagram or wherever else you find me. And I'd be more than happy to continue to love hearing you guys' feedback. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.